The mountain village of Carson sat cradled between two gray peaks like a secret the world had forgotten. Each morning, mist rolled down the slopes and slipped between wooden homes, carrying the smell of pine and cold stone. At the edge of this village lived Aaron, a young hunter known for his sharp eyes, quicker arrows, and an even sharper pride. People whispered his name with a mix of admiration and unease. He never missed a target, he never asked for help, and he never stayed to listen when praise turned into concern. Aaron believed strength was the only truth that mattered. His father had died years ago in a hunting accident, and ever since, Aaron had decided that weakness was the real enemy. He trained harder than anyone, climbed higher than anyone, and pushed himself beyond pain. His mother, Eliah, watched him silently each night as he returned home, shoulders tense, eyes restless. She often said softly, "Strength is more than muscle, Aaron." He always smiled politely and changed the subject. One autumn morning, the village elder announced troubling news. Game had grown scarce in the lower forests. Winter was coming fast, and without meat, many families would suffer. The elder's voice trembled as he asked for volunteers to hunt deeper in the mountains, near the forbidden lake. A hush fell over the crowd. Everyone knew the stories. The mountain lake was said to show people who they truly were, and not everyone liked what they saw. Aaron stepped forward without hesitation. "I'll go," he said confidently. Murmurs rippled through the villagers. Eliah's face tightened with worry, but Aaron didn't look back. In his mind, this was his chance to prove himself once and for all. The climb was long and unforgiving. Rocks cut into Aaron's boots, an icy wind burned his lungs, yet he pressed on, driven by pride more than duty. By late afternoon, he reached the lake. It lay perfectly still, surrounded by jagged cliffs and twisted roots. The water was dark, almost black, reflecting the sky like polished glass. Aaron knelt and peered into the lake, expecting to see his own face staring back. Instead, the surface shimmered. Slowly, an image formed, not of his face, but of a frightened boy standing beside a fallen man. Aaron's breath caught. It was him, years ago, kneeling beside his father's broken body, frozen with fear. He stumbled back. "It's just a trick," he muttered. But the lake rippled again, showing another scene. Aaron, older now, turning away as a fellow hunter begged for help after slipping down a ravine. He remembered that day. He had told himself the man was too weak to survive anyway. A voice echoed softly from the water. "What you hide shapes what you hunt." Aaron spun around. An old woman stood near the trees, her cloak blending with the shadows. Her eyes were calm, ancient. "Who are you?" Aaron demanded. "A watcher," she replied gently, "and a reminder." Anger flared in Aaron's chest. "I don't need riddles, I need game." He turned away, bow in hand, stalking deeper into the forest. He found tracks soon enough, but his mind was unsettled. Each time he raised his bow, his hands trembled. He missed, again and again. Night fell quickly, and the cold wrapped around him like chains. Exhausted and hungry, Aaron collapsed near the lake's edge. When he awoke, the old woman was sitting nearby, tending a small fire. She handed him a piece of bread. He hesitated, then accepted it. "You hunt well," she said, "but you live poorly." Aaron bristled. "You don't know me." She met his gaze. "I know your reflection." He stared into the flames. For the first time, his pride felt heavy, like armor he could no longer carry. "What does the lake want?" he asked quietly. "It wants honesty and courage of a different kind." The next morning, Aaron returned to the lake willingly. He knelt again, heart pounding. This time, the water showed him a new image, the village starving, while he stood alone on the mountain with more meat than he could ever eat. "No," he whispered, "that wouldn't happen." "Unless you let it," the voice said. Aaron closed his eyes. Memories flooded in. Times he had chosen glory over kindness, silence over help. Tears slipped down his cheeks, surprising him more than anything else. He leaned forward and spoke aloud, his voice breaking. "I was afraid to be weak, afraid to lose." The lake grew still. Then the surface cleared, reflecting only his face. It looked the same, yet different, softer, lighter. A rustle came from the trees. A wounded mountain deer staggered into view, its leg trapped in an old snare. Aaron raised his bow, then stopped. Slowly, he approached the animal, easing the snare free. The deer looked at him once before limping away. Hours later, Aaron found a herd grazing nearby, unaware of his presence. His shot was true. He took only what the village needed, nothing more. When Aaron returned to Carson, burdened with meat and humility, the villagers gathered in disbelief. He shared the food carefully, ensuring every family received their share. When someone praised him, he simply nodded and moved on. That night, he sat beside his mother. Elia looked at him closely, eyes shining. "You went to the lake," she said. "Yes," Aaron replied softly, "and I finally saw." Winter came, but no one starved. Aaron continued to hunt, yet he was no longer alone. He taught others, listened more, and helped without being asked. And though he never spoke of the mirror in the mountain lake, its lesson lived quietly in his actions.